Well, in the early to mid '80s, that's when crack started to hit the Bay Area.
Hmm.
Do you remember when that happened and the neighborhood started to change?
Oh yeah, crack. I remember when crack was around back in like 84, 83, and at first it was just like almost like a secret, but then it just turned into like an epidemic, like a pandemic. You know how like we just experienced a pandemic and just it just went crazy. That's how crack hit. When crack hit, it was just easy. It was fast money, and everybody wanted it. It was a real epidemic. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you yourself, at what point did you start getting mixed up in the streets?
I say I probably about 14, 15 when I caught my first case selling weed. I was young. You know what I'm saying? Went to juvenile, so
Okay,
that's had to be like 85, 86.
okay, but with weed, that's really more mellow. You
Yeah,
know, what I mean,
yeah.
you know, the guns and the violence and the murders really don't come with weed all that often. It's
Nah,
really more of an easygoing
yeah,
type
it's,
of
it's yeah,
hustle.
it's a different lane. It's a different
Right.
lane, I would say.
So, at what point did crack and cocaine become part of your life?
Probably about, I would say about 88, 89. You know, where it really got real serious. You know what I mean?
Okay, and you're like 17, 18 at the point?
Yeah.
Okay, and how did that start with you?
Well, it was just like we seen it. We was around it. As youngsters, we used to sell weed, and then just being around and seeing people sell weed, you just like, and then you see this little white substance, you like, damn, what's that? And you get curious, you know what I'm saying? And then once you start dabbling into that, the money change. You know what I'm saying? And so from that point on, that's what it was. It was over with.
I mean, with the addiction, like me and Freeway Ricky had long conversations about this, and he was like, one of the biggest drug dealers on the West Coast.
Hmm.
Where in the beginning, when crack hit, people weren't really becoming addicts yet. People were still functional,
It was functional.
crack addicts basically, where they would get high after work or on the weekends, but they still have their job, or
Hmm.
they still had their family. But as the years progressed, people
Yeah.
started becoming homeless and basically just living in the street,
It,
trying
de-
to get high all the
yeah,
time.
it definitely catch up with you. I done seen it firsthand. It definitely catch up with you. You know what I mean? Like over the time, you'll catch a person with a good job. You're able to come spend 40, $50 a day. Then that's turned into $30 a day. Then $20 a day. You know what I'm saying? Then $10 a day. You know what I'm saying? So it takes a toll on you, and it's a very, just like any other drug you abuse. You know what I mean? You know,
Did you yourself ever try it yourself?
I ain't never tried no drugs.
Huh.
None. Never tried it. Never attempted to try it. Never snort cocaine. Never nothing. Heroin. None of that. Only thing I ever
Weed?
smoked was weed.
Okay.
A bunch of it.
Okay. And that's because you were seeing the people around you just
Yeah,
start to
yeah. I
deteriorate?
just never wanted to indulge. People of my peers, they thought it was fancy to snort cocaine. I always looked at it like, man, that could lead to something. I'm cool. I'm scared of drugs. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm scared of it. Because I smoke so much weed. I said, damn. Imagine if I was to try this weed. I'm cool. So I always been scared of any kind of drug.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I remember one of my best friends overdosed and died off cocaine at 23,
Yeah.
and
See.
I went to that funeral and said, "Nah, I'm never going to try this." Like that situation right there made me never want to try cocaine, even though people had offered it to me over the years.
Yeah. I done seen cocaine snorters start using crack, and then from crack to, you know what I'm saying? I seen them graduate. So I was never a fan of it. You know what I'm saying? I seen them graduate from heroin, from snorting heroin to shooting it. It's the generations. You see them, you sit back and watch, you'll watch them graduate. You know what I'm saying? So I just never was a fan of the hard drug.
Okay, so you started dabbling, in terms of crack selling around 17, 18 years old. Did that start to build up pretty quickly?
Overnight.
Overnight? Okay. And were you getting arrested right away or not so much?
Nah, I got arrested one time, probably in like '92, and I went to jail for it. You know, I got arrested, went to jail, and I told myself I'll never be out here selling crack again. You know what I mean? Because I'd have to be out there. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, yeah. And that was
Okay.
really like the only time I ever really actually got caught out there with crack.
Okay. How much time did you get for that?
They gave me 3 years probation. It was my first case. I had got a good lawyer. They gave me 3 years probation and some time served for the couple of days I was in there.
Okay. And was that around the time the Big Block got formed?
No, I formed it a couple of years after that.
Okay. So tell me about.
Probably like in '94.
Okay. So tell me about Big Block.
Well, Big Block is it's a record label. You know what I'm saying? It was a label, you know, that where we you know, produce artists, manage them, you know, and produce records. You know what I mean? And you know, back in the day before I even used to sell weed, I used to try to rap. You know, I used to try to be an MC back when Shadi and all them was out, but it wasn't no money involved. You know, we didn't have no sponsors, wasn't no money. And so we used to do talent shows and I always had a passion for it. So by me having a passion for the music, but way back then when I was 14, 15 years old, I just was like, you know, I just always had that passion. So when I was able, you know, I started my own label.
Okay. And that was Big Block.
Yeah.